I thought decluttering would feel like a clean slate, but it mostly felt like losing parts of myself I wasn't ready to say goodbye to. It's easy to assume the hardest part is hauling things out or deciding what to keep. But the real challenge starts after the stuff is gone, when the house is quieter, but your thoughts aren't. When you realize you cleared the shelves, but not the pressure, not the old habits, not the stories tied to what you let go. This video is a gentle walk through what actually makes decluttering feel so complicated and why feeling unsettled doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. When decluttering feels off. At first, clearing things out feels empowering. Bags go out, shelves open up, and for a minute it's quiet in a good way. But that stillness doesn't always stay comforting. Sometimes a few days after the decluttering high wears off, you walk into your space and feel off, like the room is too bare, or the silence is too loud. You might even regret a few things you donated, not because you need them, but because letting go made things feel more real. This part catches people off guard. We expect relief, but what often shows up is a strange mix of sadness, doubt, and restlessness. That's not a sign you made a mistake. It's just your brain catching up with the shift. You're not just adjusting your space, you're adjusting to what's no longer there. But what if I need it someday? There's a quiet fear that keeps a lot of clutter around. What if I need this someday? It sounds reasonable, even responsible. But often, it's just anxiety disguised as planning. This mindset isn't just about stuff, it's about control. We want to feel prepared, protected, and sure we won't regret letting go. Instead of asking, "What if I need this again?" try asking, "What would I actually do if I did?" In many cases, you'd borrow it, improvise, or realize you never truly needed it at all. And that realization doesn't just lighten your shelves, it lightens your mental load too. For example, I once held onto a slow cooker, just in case I needed to cook for a crowd again, even though I hadn't used it in years. Letting it go felt risky, but when that rare moment came, I used a pot I already had, and it worked fine. The relief of no longer storing, just in case things ended up being worth far more than the item itself. Letting go isn't reckless. It's trusting yourself to handle life as it comes, not just stockpile for what might never happen. Not just clutter. Old versions of you. We like to think decluttering is about making space. But often it's about saying goodbye to the version of ourselves we thought we'd be. That box of running gear. Maybe it's not about fitness. Maybe it's tied to the person you hoped you'd become. The bread maker wasn't just an appliance. It was a quiet plan to be the kind of woman who made cinnamon rolls from scratch on weekends. Letting go of clutter isn't just about being practical. It's emotional work. It's looking at an old sweater and realizing you no longer dress like that and maybe don't want to anymore. It's realizing a past version of you had different dreams, and that's okay. This part of decluttering doesn't get talked about much because it's tender, but naming it helps. It's not weakness to feel a pang when you toss the yoga DVDs. It's just your brain processing the shift from who you were to who you actually are now. The clutter creeps back, quietly. Once the space is clear, your habits walk into that empty room with you. It's easy to assume the job's done after the bags are gone, but if nothing shifts in how you shop, browse, or react to sales, the clutter quietly creeps back in. Not all at once, just a little at a time. A new candle here, a second phone charger there. A cart full of it was on sale by the end of the month. This isn't about willpower. it's about awareness. Most of us are surrounded by subtle pressure to refill what we just cleared out. Ads, algorithms, even the way stores lay things out, it all nudges you to add more. What helps isn't avoiding every purchase. It's noticing the moment you feel that pull and pausing long enough to ask, do I actually want this in my home a month from now? Clear homes are built in small moments. Getting rid of clutter is one decision. Keeping your home calm takes 100 tiny ones. It's those in-between moments, choosing not to grab the freebie at checkout, skipping the extra storage bin, putting the laundry away instead of letting it pile. It's not dramatic, but it adds up. At first, it might feel like extra work. You notice how fast a drawer fills again. You realize how easy it is to buy something just to fix the look of a space. But over time, those small choices build into something steady, a home that doesn't just look clear, but feels supportive. You don't need perfection. You just need practice. And a little patience with yourself when old habits try to sneak back in. When others don't declutter like you do. One thing that makes minimalism hard. Not everyone in your life is on board. You might feel tension when your partner keeps everything just in case, or your parents bring over bags of stuff they thought you'd like. It's easy to start questioning yourself. Am I being too rigid? Am I making this harder for others? Here's the truth. You can live simply without making everyone around you do the same. But it helps to set soft boundaries. For example, instead of saying, "Don't bring me any more things," try, "I'm trying to keep my home lighter. Experiences or consumables are more my speed these days." Most people respond better when they feel included, not judged. And when shared spaces are involved, focus on modeling, not managing. Keep your own areas intentional, and let that speak louder than any explanation. Over time, others might start to notice how calm your side of the closet feels and get curious on their own. Living with less isn't about convincing everyone. It's about creating peace in the parts you can control. The sign I almost bought. When we downsized from our bigger house to a smaller cottage, I thought the tough part would be the sorting, deciding what stayed and what had to go. But honestly, that part was almost satisfying. The real work started after. It hit me the day I found myself in the checkout line holding a Live Laugh Lake sign. I didn't need it. I didn't even want it. But in that moment, it felt like the final piece that would make the space feel right. That sign was trying to fix an emotional gap with an object, and I almost let it. That's what makes this shift so sneaky. Even when we've cleared the clutter, the old patterns can still show up in subtle ways. Shopping for the feeling of progress, filling space to avoid stillness. What helped was asking different questions, not, "What do I need to buy?" but "What already feels enough here?" That's how you rebuild. Not with stuff, but with clarity about what actually supports the life you're living now. When empty feels too empty, sometimes even after we've decluttered with intention, the space doesn't feel right, not because it's messy, but because it feels unfinished. There's an awkward middle ground where the room is technically clear, but emotionally it still feels off. This happens because most of us are used to associating done with full. So when a shelf is empty or a corner looks bare, our instinct is to fill it, not because we need to, but because we've been trained to equate visual completeness with emotional satisfaction. But here's a quiet reframe. What if that unfinished feeling is actually room to breathe? Instead of rushing to fill the space, Try living in it for a week. See what naturally comes up. Do you miss anything? Or do you just miss the idea of something being there? For instance, after clearing out a side table, I felt like the room looked oddly empty, like something was missing. But I waited. And a week later, I realized I liked the ease of not bumping into anything there. That empty space started to feel like a gift, not a gap. You don't need to fill every spot for your home to feel whole. Sometimes a little space is the point. Clearing out your space is only part of the shift. Learning how to live differently inside it is where the real change happens. When you treat decluttering as an ongoing relationship with your space, not a one-time purge, things start to feel lighter, not just visually but emotionally. Decisions get easier. Mornings feel calmer. You stop constantly managing stuff and start using your energy for what actually matters. If this gave you some clarity or a sense of relief, feel free to like or subscribe. It helps us keep making things that meet you where you are